Pleasure of knowing and interviewing over the past 2 decades. Please put your hands together for Baba Kalyani, the Chairman and Managing Director of Bharat Forge. Congratulations, Mr. Kalyani. And I know this can be awkward listening to what people have to say about you, but nevertheless, he is, as I pointed out, a transformative leader. He has many firsts to his credit, including ensuring that Bharat Forge, the company that he navigates today, has transformed itself into a diversified conglomerate. He calls it a technology company, and it has seen a transformational change under his leadership. Mr. Kalyani has been the leader of Bharat Forge for the last 50-plus years. He incidentally just turned 75 earlier this year, and 52 of those 75 years he spent at the helm of Bharat Forge, changing the complexion of the company that he is taking forward. As I pointed out, today it is a company that's focused on technology. It's a company that started with forging and forayed into the automotive segment, and today is also a leading Indian defense manufacturer with an aspiration of building its export order book. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Atul Kashyap and Ed Knight, the Executive Vice Chairman of NASDAQ, on stage as we honor Baba Kalyani with the USIBC Global Leadership Award. Could we have Ambassador Kashyap and Ed Knight on stage, please? Mr. Kalyani, please. Thank you very much, Ambassador Kashyap. Thank you very much, Mr. Knight. I'm going to have you back on stage shortly, but Mr. Kalyani, the mic is all yours, sir. Yes.
Thank you, Shereen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to be, and a great honor to be bestowed with this USIBC 2024 Global Business Leadership Award. And first and foremost, I take this opportunity to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to the jury members, Ambassador Kashyap, and the governing members of the U.S.-India Business Council and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I have a long history with the United States. I did my engineering in the U.S., passed out in 1970 from MIT in Boston, came back here and started working in our family business, what Shereen talked, a small forging company. It was about $1 million in sales in 1971, 72. And of course, with whatever I had learned in the United States, in the institution that I was in, and seeing how US has had technologically developed at that time, we decided that we need to do something in India to develop our industry and create a manufacturing industry that is one of the best in the world. And it took us 20-odd years, between 1972 to 1992. There was a time, 91, 92, when the big economic reforms happened in India. Prime Minister Narasimha Rao and his Finance Minister Manmohan Singh got away with all the rules and regulations of licensing, import controls, trade controls, capital controls, and they really took the shackles off us, entrepreneurs. And that gave us an opportunity to grow and expand. In those 10 years, from 1992 to 2002, we converted our company from a small Indian company into a global company. And of course, we have a lot of companies that we work in the United States with, have been working with. The formation of our company, my father formed our company, but he did this with a small company out of Cleveland in Ohio, in the US. And for about 10 years, we had 11 expat engineers from the US working in our plant. So that was the foundations of our company. So we have great linkages with the US. I admire the way the United States has developed its industry, its capability. As Shereen talked about, we have now forayed into the defense business. And I read a book that one of my close friends who works for a very large defense company in the United States gave me. It's called Freedom Forge. It's a book, it's actually a factual book of how President Roosevelt, from 1939 to 1944, created this whole manufacturing of defense hardware to supply to England and France. And since England and France couldn't pay money at that time, they didn't have money, they ran out of money, he created a system of lend and lease, which I think many of you know about. But that's what created the US superpower in manufacturing and technology. And it's a fantastic chapter for countries like India to emulate. The great thing that I see in the USIBC now is the narrative is now changing more towards partnership, more towards using India's intellectual capability, using India's talent that we have. I mean, I was just talking with Bob a little while ago, and on the semiconductor business, I mean, the amount of design engineers that are there between Bangalore, Delhi, and elsewhere designing fabs, it's just amazing. So there is a lot of ecosystem here. The missing part is manufacturing. I'm in the manufacturing business, although I'm not in the semiconductor business. But I want to tell you that I supply a forging to Lam, which makes the etching equipment. Without that, you can't make the etching equipment. So I have a small part to play in the semiconductor business. But it's very great honor for me. Thank you, Ambassador Keshav. Thank you, members of the governing body, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Once again, congratulations, Mr. Kalyani. It's an absolute pleasure to be here while you receive this honor. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to announce our second awardee for this evening. Bob Pragada has led groundbreaking initiatives at Jacobs, redefining engineering and infrastructure globally and working with India as a key strategic partner. His commitment to innovation, state-of-the-art infrastructure and diversity has set Jacobs to truly become an example of the US-India partnership. I don't know how many of you know this, but Bob has spent, 9 years as part of the US Navy before he moved to the private sector, and of course has been at Jacobs since 2006 and then took over as CEO in 2023. And here's some interesting trivia. His Spotify list will tell you that he likes rap music a lot. So Bob Pragada, congratulations, and may I request Ambassador Atul Keshav and Ed Knight to come and do the honors. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Bob Pragada. Mr. Kalyani, may I request you to join the photo op as well? Ed, could I request you to stay on stage and yes. A big round of applause for the winners of the USIBC Global Leadership Awards. Bob, the floor is yours.
Shereen, thank you. I am definitely humbled to be standing here. in receiving this award. I especially want to thank the USIBC and Ambassador Kashep for our continued partnership. Let me start by congratulating Mr. Kalyani for your many, many accomplishments and the impact you've had not only on India, the U.S., but the world. Congratulations on the great honor. I'm always excited to be in India, and I'm thankful for every warm welcome I receive from family, friends, and business colleagues every time I come. It is a true honor to represent my country, the United States, my heritage, India, my company, Jacobs, and my family as I accept this prestigious award. For the past 60 years, India has been central and critical to the transformative growth of my company, Jacobs. India epitomizes the very purpose that Jacobs holds so dear, to create a sustainable and connected world together. Our business in India provides unprecedented ways of delivering value to our clients. Firstly, talent with a formidable team of 4,000 dedicated employees that demonstrate the very best that our company has to offer. And we're gearing up, my colleagues are here to witness this, to double by the year 2027. Secondly, commitment. We are steadfast in our commitment to delivering world-class solutions to our clients that fundamentally benefit our communities and the world at large. And lastly, our passion for excellence in client service and delivery is truly exceptional and is evident in the prestigious projects and clients that we serve. I want to take a moment to commend the incredible talent in India. I've been meeting with our employees at various offices spread all across the country, and it never ceases to amaze me the spirit of innovation, collaboration, and dedication the team brings to our clients every single day. As Chair, CEO, and a proud Indian American, I am personally inspired and committed to continued prosperity of India. It's a matter of pride to me as a country, as its culture is not only in my blood, it's in my heart. We have a generational growth opportunity for India to transcend as a global leader, not only in technical services and information technology, but also as a global center for advanced manufacturing. Digital enablement will absolutely be an enabler and an accelerant in this cause and accelerate the pace of growth. I was at the Semicon conference earlier this week in Noida yesterday and the day before, and had the privilege of meeting with the Prime Minister, and have never been so impressed with the sponsorship and the ambitious vision that the country has set forth in achieving this unbelievable goal, and are going to get there. India for India and India for this world. That is the current sentiment, and there's a lot of excitement and energy around this. At this pivotal moment, we are focused on investing in our talent and investing in developing the tools and technology that will empower future generations of innovators, business leaders, and technical experts. Our vision is to contribute to the endearing and long-lasting legacy that positions India at the forefront of world-class technical delivery and manufacturing across many opportunities that lie ahead. Again, thank you very much for this incredible award. I'm immensely humbled and honored. Thank you very much.
Once again, Bob, congratulations. I was hoping for some rap at the end of that, but I'm guessing we'll have to wait a little bit. It's the perfect opportunity to have a conversation with these two gentlemen about what they see as the future for this relationship, and of course, specifically for their individual companies as well. Mr. Kalyani, let me start by asking you, you talked about how the relationship has evolved aspirationally and also in real terms, in real ways. As you look at where we are today, as you look at the trends that are being forecasted on shaping the future from a manufacturing standpoint, as Bob just pointed out, we are now entering into an era of advanced technologies, advanced manufacturing. What do you see as being the role and relevance of India globally?
Well, first thing is, as Bob pointed out, in the Semicon conference, we have 5 Indian companies building semiconductor plants. We missed this bus in the 80s, the so-called electronic revolution. We seem to be catching on this, I wouldn't say bus, more like a high-speed train in 2024. And I think whatever the government of India is doing, what the companies in the private sector are doing in this investment, and combine that with the innovative capability that is already available in the design space in this area, is going to lay the foundation for manufacturing many other products in a similar fashion. You're going to see many similar things happening, right? Not necessarily only electronics. It will lead to advanced robotics. Of course, the whole AI revolution is upon us. The digital revolution is upon us. And there's no way an Indian company can escape moving into that direction. But I think electronics and semiconductors play a big part in moving forward.
You talked about the small role that you're playing in this ecosystem, in this space. Are you likely to want to play a larger role? Do you aspire to play a larger role? You talked about the aspirations of Indian companies as the government rolls out its semiconductor plan.
Shereen, you just told the audience I'm 75 years old.
that doesn't mean you have to stop, sir.
Well, we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. But let's talk about the semiconductor story and how we see it playing out. And it's similar to what the US is trying to do with the CHIPS Act at this point in time to get people to actually set up capacity. And India has, now it's been about 12 odd months since the government has actually put the semiconductor mission in play. There are, of course, challenges that we will need to contend with, but let's talk about the opportunities and, more importantly, what you believe we need to focus on and prioritize to ensure that this is, in fact, realized.
Yeah, I think, is this on?
Yes.
I think that comparing it to the CHIPS Act, I don't even know, this is going to be maybe a little provocative, but I don't even know if it's a comparison. You know, the U.S. had over a 50-year head start. Yeah. Has an incredible install base already. So the CHIPS Act was almost an incentive to do more on an install base that already was already there. And the government, though it had bipartisan approval to approve the CHIPS Act, really from a visionary sponsorship of the deployment of that capital, I think it kind of was more, it was more part of business somewhat as usual, right? What we're seeing here in India is exactly the opposite. And now, of course, we're going from 0 to 60 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour, you know, in record time. But the sponsorship right from the top, I mean, the Prime Minister was effusive in his tonality and his speech and his guidance to hundreds of people that were there. And we're seeing that in record time for environmental approvals. State governments stepping up and backing even more investment. Power grids and considerations around water are all coming about in real time. So I think we're off to a good start.
Off to a good start. But, you know, you were talking about what we're seeing happen as far as the fabs are concerned, and of course that is the big focus at this point in time. But perhaps what is often underappreciated is what's happening on the design and development side as well when we talk about the chip industry and the contribution that India is making globally, not just India for India, but India for the world. You know, how do you see that playing out as we move forward in conjunction with this aspiration of building out fabs?
That's where India, I think, is going to have a huge advantage if the manufacturing side can come on. Chip design without manufacturing ends up being a technical services center. When you combine it, and think about this, 20%, excuse me, 20% of the global chip design happens in this country. And so that human capital, that intellectual horsepower already exists here in India. And when you couple it with a manufacturing base, you know, that's going to also, I said digital enablement in my speech, that's also going to be an accelerant as well. So I think it's, everybody was there, the big tool manufacturers, the chemical players, the materials providers, they've been here. The one item, and Baba, when we were talking about it before, is but we're getting there. I don't know if the actual fab design, which is interesting, which is the business that we're in, is fully appreciated on how complicated of a facility this is. But a lot of the executives in European and U.S. Semiconductor companies are in fact immigrated Indians. The Indian government is bringing them back to India So if you look at the CEO of Micron or the CEO of Tata Electronics, I mean, these are industry veterans that are now coming back.
Well, you know, and that's the kind of reverse brain drain that we've been hoping for, and it hopefully will work as far as the semiconductor mission is concerned. But Mr. Kalyani, another area of partnership, and we've seen plenty of momentum building on that in the last few years between India and the US, is the defense partnership, and that is an area of opportunity that you've been focused on personally, individually, and of course through the company. How have you seen that change, and what do you believe is the headroom for potential growth?
You know, I think we are progressing very well in this US-India partnership as far as defense industry is concerned. I am also the co-chair of the defense group in the India-US CEO Forum. It's going to meet next month in Washington. You already heard about the Tata Lockheed Martin agreement to start an MRO for the big transport aircraft, the C-130s, and ultimately manufacture them. So I think it's moving in the right direction. We have signed the SOSA agreement.
Yeah.
There's only one more agreement to be signed, and that is how does US treat India as a partner in terms of supply, putting India in the supply chain of US defense companies. There are only 11 countries today which are approved as suppliers as per the US system. So that's kind of work in progress. But once that happens, hopefully in the next 1 year, there's a lot of work going on at both the ministerial level, the Prime Minister's level, and of course at the industry level. And we see great opportunities. I mean, look at it, the US is the biggest market as far as defense is concerned. It's the biggest technology provider for defense technologies. India's defense market is just opening up. And if we are able to achieve the goals that the Honorable Prime Minister has set for 2047 in terms of where our nation should be, and let's say we are somewhere in the region of 25 trillion GDP, then our defense spending accordingly is going to be 15 times higher than what it is today. And you're going to need a lot of technology and a lot of partnerships and a lot of help. And I think almost all of that, a large part of that will come from the United States.
You know, speaking of defense, and we've been seeing very frequently and periodically announcements coming in from the Indian government that the Defense Acquisition Council has cleared orders worth 1 lakh crore rupees and so on and so forth. But, you know, give us a realistic picture of what that means actually in terms of procurement.
You know, the process of procurement of defense equipment is very complicated. It's complicated even in the United States, not only in India. But it starts with something called an AON. AON is an acceptance of necessity. So the three services, Army, Navy, Air Force, or whoever else it is, put up what they need. It goes through the MOD bureaucracy, then the defense minister, and then is approved as something that is required. And that's what gets approved in a Defense Acquisition Council, AON. So we keep hearing about these big numbers that the Defense Acquisition Council has cleared 1.5 lakh crores of rupees of defense equipment. Actually, the procurement process of that starts 5 years later, and the procurement happens 10 years later. So we shouldn't get too excited with...
Well, the market certainly get excited every time we hear an announcement coming in.
They don't necessarily understand the complications that are involved in that. So we have to worry more about which AONs were approved 5 years ago and what is happening to them.
But Bob, you know, you talked about the significance of India for Jacobs specifically, and you were talking about doubling your headcount here in India as well. You know, take us through what gives you the confidence of being able to do that, and how critical India is going to be as far as Jacobs' global aspirations are concerned.
Yeah, the confidence is that we've already done it. You know, we've doubled, just in the last 2.5 years, we've doubled in size based on the growth that we're seeing in other parts of the world. And in our areas of focus in India are specifically in the advanced manufacturing world. Again, historically, that's been for the world, and that's pivoting, and the infrastructure space. So aviation, transportation, water, those talents and skill sets are here. The other thing that gives us confidence, and right now we're seeing the work come all over, and this isn't a section of the work that's in the repetitive tasks that's coming to India. This is an integrated delivery where some of our top talent in the world sits in India, integrates with our teams in other locations, and then we're delivering solutions wherever the project is. And so that kind of growing as a globe is going to drive our growth in India. There is no Jacobs without India. And so as we grow at Jacobs, so is India.
Well, that's great to hear. But let me end by asking both of you, since we are talking about global leadership, and I'll start with you, Mr. Kalyani. What does it take to build a company that's not just built to last, but built to lead? What is your leadership mantra?
You know, I think there are three things, at least I believe a leader needs to have, at least from an Indian context, to build business or build industry. One is you need to believe in yourself in terms of what you are doing. You need to make sure that your team believes in what you are telling them and take them along. And third, both put together must do something good for the society, good for the nation. Then all comes in place. It works.
Bob?
Servant leader leadership, where you respect everyone, you get comfortable in the discomfort, and you do your best every single day.
So courage, conviction, and compassion. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Baba Kalyani and Bob Pragada. Thank you very much for joining us here this afternoon.
Thank you very, very much. Could we please huddle for a picture? Ladies and gentlemen, please join me once again in congratulating Mr. Bob Pragada and Mr. Babasaheb Kalyani on receiving the USIBC Global Leadership Award on their leadership in championing US and Indian industry. Thank you very, very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Shereen. And I'm going to call you back on stage right away for our next session. Our next session, the Indo-Pacific Opportunity, Big Bets for Long-Term Growth, is specifically timely given the evolving strategic and